millennials that are starting businesses, like many people in our community, they're going all in on their business, and they're sacrificing profit for growth. So they don't have that much spare change. What's your advice there? What are your thoughts?
I'm really glad you asked me that question, because every entrepreneur I meet, I have this conversation with one-on-one people that are my friends. Yeah. And I do it in my business seminars too. And I show people, I do business boot camps, and I spend 5 days showing them how to grow their business 100% plus. And then I take a half a day and show them what to do to have a second business. Here's what I'd say to you if you're a founder out there, if you're somebody starting an organization. The amount of money that you get, whatever cash you have, if it's a growing business, will always be eaten up by the organization. So a friend of mine, Ken Blanchard, who wrote the 1 Minute Manager books you may have read years ago, I met him 30 years ago, and I helped him take 5 strokes off his golf game, so he thought I was God. And I don't play golf. I just know what to do here and here with somebody. And so afterwards, he goes, I want to do something for you. I said, look, you don't do anything. About 2 months later, he calls me up and says, I want to have lunch with you. I want to give you a gift. He said, I want to share with you the best financial advice that changed my life. So what is it? He said, this very wealthy friend of mine saw I was writing a book, and he saw I was growing my business, and he said, I want to tell you something. A business, he said what I told you earlier, will take whatever cash is there, because a growing business, there's always needs.
Yeah.
He said, you have to draw a line in the sand. And he said, your book should be the first line in the sand. You should put none of that money in your company. The clients that like the book will become clients of the company, and you shouldn't take that money. You should put in an investment account that you don't touch, and it continues to compound to create financial freedom. He said, Tony, I took his advice, and then I went through 3 different stages where we almost went bankrupt in the business because I had so much cash and money, I wasn't stressed. So I was able to keep my head straight and run my business better. Because if you think about it, and I did that too. I did it with my first books. Now I give away all the profits of my books. My first books and my first infomercials.
Yes.
And I worked, 275 days a year on the road. I never earned as much as I did by compounding, because compounding changes the game. So what you have to do if you're a business owner, you have to get yourself where you say, I'm going to put a tax on my business.
Yep.
Not the government tax, my tax. My future self is going to be free forever. Because look, in business, 96% of businesses don't make it in 10 years. I'm sure all of yours will, but even the 4% that make it aren't necessarily profitable. So, and the reason is because government can change the rules, right? Taxes can shift radically affect it. Clients shift their preferences, technology, new competition. Yeah. So I tell everybody, I believe you'll make your business succeed, but everybody should have a business on the side with no employees, no moving parts, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes a year to rebalance it, so that if anything happens here, you're still strong and you can make this stronger. Or if this goes well and this goes well as well, you have twice as much money and you're there. But you got to understand what this compounding does, right? This compounding, you don't need a lot of money to get really, really wealthy. One of the examples I put in the book here was the example of a man who talks to his son. He's 18 years old, and the man understands finance and understands the power of compounding. So he says to his son, you got your first job, you're 18. I'm going to require that you take $300 every month, $150 a paycheck, and we're going to automate it to this separate account. And his son's like, I can't do that. He goes, let me tell you why you want to do it. It'll be up to you. If you promise to do that and you really do it and you automate it so you don't see it, and you do that for 8 years, you'll never have to invest again and you'll be financially set for life. His son goes, come on, Dad. 8 years, $300 a month, what is that? If he does the math, he goes, that's $28,000, over 8 years, $28,800. $28,800, how's that going to do anything? Especially if I don't add any more money after 27 years old. He goes, let me show you, son. The market's gone up 10% over 30 years. Let's apply a lower number. Let's do 8%. Be conservative. Let me show you what the numbers are when they compound. You know how much he has when he retires? $1.8 million, and all he put in was $28,800. See, people think they want to get rich by doing this big hit. Look at all the actors, all the athletes, all the movie stars that you've seen that made more money than God, and now they're bankrupt because they made money and income working, but they never figured out how to make money work for them while they slept. They never made money their slave. So if you look at like 50 Cent, he made $100 million on vitamin water. Someone gave him a tip and he went bankrupt. Or right now, I don't know if it's really going to happen, but the newspapers are speculating now, Johnny Depp is going through this divorce. He made $750 million, $750 million. And they're saying he may go bankrupt now because he's going to have to give up half in his cash position. And he spends $30,000 a month on wine. And he took Hunter Thompson, the reporter, and burned his body and paid $3 million to blow his ashes into the atmosphere. So you can mess up no matter what you do, or you can take a small amount of money and just consistently invest it, and you'll get where you want to be financially.
There's one thing I like that you said about in the book. You can always, you said something around you can always raise your income, but
Yes.
you're not going to get ahead.
That's correct.
Can you rephrase it?
Well, yeah, because you grow your income, and what do most people do when they grow their income? They spend more.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get a cannon, I'll get all this, I'll get more wine. And, me, I bought an island when I was really young. Like, if you want to, I thought I was making a lot of money. Buy an island, suddenly you got financial pressure again, right? So it's the nature of people with income they earn to spend it. But when you develop the discipline of a part of your life where you say, there's a portion of my income that no one's going to get. Not Kate Spade, not Tesla, not The Gap, nobody. That money's staying here for my family to grow. When you lock that in place, and again, the key is automating it.
Yep.
If you have to do it manually, you won't. But if you never see it, it'll become a pattern and you'll be able to build. And that's really what it's really all about.
So founders, how like, can you give a percentage on, tax?
The ideal number, is in the 20% range. Now, most founders are going to look at me like, are you insane? I take every dime I got. So the minimum ideally would be 10 to start and then build it to 15.
Yep.
But there's a cool, I interviewed all these Nobel Prize guys as well as all these self-made billionaires. And one of them was a man named Shlomo. He was really brilliant. He said, you know what? People don't invest because A, they say, I can't, I don't have the money. But we're all good at dieting tomorrow. I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow. We all believe it. Or we're all good at saving tomorrow. We're not going to save today because we want to spend the money, but we'll save in the future. So he said, I took that pattern and figured out a strategy. And he proved it worked in the Midwest of the United States with blue-collar workers who'd never saved a dime. He went to them and said, I know you say you have no money. I'd ideally like you to save at least 5%, but minimum promise me 3.5% because no one's going to miss 3.5%. You'll adjust that easily. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this plan called Save More for Tomorrow. We're going to go to your employer, and you're going to tell them that whenever you get a raise, whenever it is, next year, 2 years, 10 years, doesn't matter when, 5%, whatever, the first 5% of money goes straight into this account. Well, within 15 years, these blue-collar workers were saving an average of 15%, and the top 40% were saving 20. When you save 20, that's the example of the guy from, who goes and he's got $70 million. He saved 20% over time. So anyone can do it. But what I would say to you is, I went through a divorce. I met a woman, fell in love with her, and fell in love with her kids. She'd been married twice before me. She was 12 years my senior. So I was 24 and had a 17-year-old son instantly, an 11-year-old, a 5-year-old, and then one on the way. Really great lady, but we're completely different. No one tells you how to pick your partner. But I fell in love with the children. So I was like, I don't want to lose these kids, So I eventually decided to get a divorce. And when I got the divorce, it was a not happy divorce from the standpoint of I tried to give her half of everything, but they got 8 times and a 10 times multiple on all my companies. In those days, I didn't have 31. I had 7. And they were small companies. They weren't billion-dollar companies. They were less than 100 million, most of them. Yeah. And some of them were only dependent upon me, like a doctor. If I don't show up, the whole thing falls apart. And so I'm looking at this. I got to pay her 8 and 10 times. I got to pay her $50 million, and I didn't have $50 million. So I settled on $42 million. I had to pay her $42 million when I didn't have it, and I started over at 39 years old. And I had to pay her not only $42 million, but I had to pay her $1 million a year for 17 years. I was only married to her for 14 years, right?
Wow.
So I just paid that off a couple of years ago. And the reason I tell you the story is, in the beginning, I had to pay her $1 million a year, plus I had to pay the taxes on it before I ate. It was, and when I met her, she was broke. Now I was broke, and I was the best in the world at what I was doing. But the power of that was, when I wouldn't let go, when I finally said, I'm going to stop being angry, I'm just going to automate it and let go, my capacity grew tenfold. It's like I never looked back. It's like, because I had to come up with an additional $1 million, I had to think bigger, I had to do things bigger. So I started creating new relationships, new partnerships, new businesses. And it made me grow to a $5 billion a year company, set of companies, versus not even a little more than $100 million back in those days. So in 8 years, my life has transformed because I put that tax on myself and I invested heavily. And I didn't have the money to do it, but I did it anyway because I had to.